ask questions. Let's have it be very fluid training because we're going to be here for a little while. So some of you, especially Jimmy's been here in license for a long time, as long as you can join us, feel free to inject some of your things that have worked for you over the years. But generally, when you guys are going to work for buyers initially, they come a little easier than listing homes. So I knew we were going to have a newer class. We're going to have a lot of newer agents in here. So I wanted to go over some things that have worked for me really well to get my buyers through my process. So that's kind of what we're going to go over here. Conversations I have with them, situations I find myself with them, fears that they have that prevent them from buying, and how I get them to overcome those fears. Okay, and really it's just knowledge and being able to communicate their options to them. But let's go over some of those things right now. So I call it a situation, but generally it's a type of person that you're going to come into. Okay, so the first one is you're going to notice that you're going to have clients who just want to see their onesies and twosies. They call you when they want to see one home. And they're very sporadic in their approach. You may not hear from them for weeks, you may not hear from them for months, but they just want to see one house. They'll call you and say, Carter, show me this house. And then a month later, show me this other house. And really what I try to explain to them is that, and I think this is something you should try to explain to all your buyers, is that looking for homes is the process of elimination. It's not necessarily the process of selection. So while you're out there trying to select your home, you're going about it all the wrong way. We want to get together and we want to tour 5 to 7 homes at every time. And even though most of these homes are not going to work for one reason or another for you, we start eliminating these houses, and therefore doing that, the one that we go into that is going to be yours stands out a little clearer. It makes itself known that much easier because you've eliminated all the others. Does that make sense to everybody? So when you're going around with the buyer and you're meeting them for the first time, or you find this type of client that is a onesie and twosie, sit down with them or on the phone, have a conversation and tell them how it's the process of elimination. That you have to see homes that you necessarily check off your list, because by the time that you do find, by doing that, the one that you do find, the one that does check most of the boxes really stands out. It makes itself clear, okay? Now I also play a little game, a lot of you guys have heard this with my buyers, whether it's a husband and wife or a single person, whatever there is. I like them to rate the homes as we go through them. And again, I'm trying to get them through 5 or 7 homes at a time. It's a little game that we play, but it's also something from a psychological standpoint that puts them in the mindset to actually buy, to make a decision, okay? So I tell them that we're going to play a little game. We're going to rate these homes on a scale 1 to 10. 10 meaning it has everything that you ever wanted. You can't believe it has this much. We're going to stop the tour. We're going to buy this home, and you're going to pay more than they're asking for it at a 10, okay? Obviously, 1 is on the other end of that, where I make a little joke where you wouldn't let your dog live here, or you wouldn't live here if I were to buy it and give it to you for free. Okay, I'm going to do that. Then I let them know that they're trying to set the expectations. Like a 10, you very rarely see someone rate a home a 10. And the reason why is, I don't know if it's just an American thing or what, but we always want a little bit more than we're willing to afford. $50,000. You rate an 8 or higher. If it's a husband and wife, Ron, you have your child looking for a combined score of 16 or higher. Those have luck with it, right? And what you'll notice is the first house you're going into is always the hardest to rate. So you're going, you might get a low score on that. But as you start to go along, you'll start to see them get used to what they're going to get for their money. As you start to go through the 5 to 7 homes, you'll start to see them rating a little higher, 5, 6, 6.5. And then eventually, hopefully if you're paying attention, your next tour of 5 to 7 homes, you should identify ones you actually think they're going to rate based on what you learned from the first tour. And generally, if I can get them out on a Thursday evening, Wednesday evening, look at 5 to 7 homes, get them out on a Saturday or Sunday, it's that day that I'm selling them a home. It's the next day. I'm not sitting around showing them 25, 35, 40 homes. It just, and we have that situation, that type of client coming up here in a little bit, and we'll tell you some conversations to have so we can get you out of that. Now, everybody's been here, Jenny's been here 20 years, and how many, there have been some clients who're like, man, I'm showing these guys 50 houses. What is going on, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't. The average person probably looks at 8 to 15 homes before they buy a home. So you get to that 20 mark, we got to start having some conversations, which we're going to get to that. But what happens from the psychological standpoint of this is eventually, wife's going to look at the husband, and the wife's going to go, I'm the 9 on this. He's going to look back and like, man, I was at least a 9, maybe this might be a 10, or maybe it's an 8, I'm a solid 8 on. Then they'll look at you and they'll be like, now what? Now it's time to write an offer. So it's not just playing a game and keeping track and trying to talk through how to get this up to. What you've done is you've established the point that if they rate something 8 or higher, they know they're going to buy it. So from a psychological standpoint, that's why you play the game, or one of the reasons. Is once they rate it at 8, they've already told themselves, if I rate this, I'm going to buy it. So when they rated that, they're telling themselves, I want to buy this home. You don't have to sell writing an offer. You don't have to sell, hey, no, this is the home that you should buy. They've already told themselves that. Does that make sense? Now you're going to the office, or you're going wherever you're going to write an offer. Okay? All right. Everybody's had these clients when you're going around where pre-approval isn't going to be a problem. You know, don't worry about Jimmy. I got it. I got it covered. Right? Like this, I 800 credit score. I got 100,000 in the bank. Not going to be a problem. Right? Or you have the ones, for whatever reason, just seem like they're not going through the process of getting pre-approved. Right? Now, there's all kinds of reasons why you want to try to have these conversations with the client to get them pre-approved. But this is what's really worked for me. First of all, I explained to the client that the homes are selling really fast right now. And that when we decide to find the home that you love, that you want, I would hate to see you lose it by not having the pre-approval. And if we don't have a pre-approval, even if we're the only offer in this scenario, you're not getting the house. They're not accepting the offer. If there's multiple offers, you don't have a chance. Like, they'll just completely disregard it compared to the other offers that are coming pre-approval. And if you wait until the weekend to do this, you might not catch a lender to give you a pre-approval, and you're going to lose the house that you spent so hard trying to find, and now we can't get it. All because you're not willing to take a 20-minute application. It's very, very, very painless process, right? Also, I come from a psychological standpoint. I try to tell them, I said, once you know what you're pre-approved, I said, it becomes empowering. And I want you to have that empowering feeling as we're looking at homes. You know what's required of you for the pre-approval, like meaning how much money down. You know what interest rate you're getting quoted. You know your payment. There's a lot of unknowns that are known. And believe it or not, it's those unknowns that will keep somebody from making a decision. It's fear, the fear of the unknown. If I could have an 800 credit score, and I could have $100,000 in the bank, but if I don't know what I'm being quoted for, if I don't know what the payment's going to be, and I'm out looking, if I don't know how much money I'm putting down, those unknowns will keep me from making a decision, even if I know that I can do it. So from a psychological standpoint, I tell them how empowering it is, that when we're looking at homes, you know, if you fall in love with one, you can pull the trigger if you want to. It's your decision. You can decide whether you're buying it right then and there. And usually that is actually more, resonates with them more than losing the house because of the multiple offer situation. Knowing that they can clear some of the fog around the transaction, the unknowns. And then if that doesn't work, last I try to tell them, like, listen, with what you're telling me, you're going to have options. Like, you don't want to be put under the gun trying to get a house to pick an option really quick. Let these lenders, if you get a good lender, they will give you options, and you know, different options will have some plus and minuses, and you get some time to really compare those and figure out what option is the best scenario for you. You know, so I would like to get you to a reputable lender or someone I work with that I know is going to take care of you. And the reason they take care of them is because they want me to keep sending them business. I tell my clients this. If they don't take care of you in a special way, I cut them off. And they won't want that. So if I get you to them, they're going to really take care of you. They're going to really make sure they explore all different options with you, make sure it's a very transparent process, and you know, put your decisions in front of you so you can make the best decision for yourself. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? It is important not to go around with the buyer to 20 houses before you get a pre-approval. And a lot of people are very uncomfortable talking with buyers about their financial situation. Pre-approved, have you been to a lender? And that seemed like an unmatching move there, or questioning your financial status, or, how dare you, question my ability to purchase a home. It can kind of feel that way. So in order, remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if you come from a place of help, if you ask somebody, are your lending needs being taken care of? Do you really have someone who's in your corner looking at all your options and making sure they're available to you, to explain those to you? There's grant money out there, right? There's money to fix up houses. There's 100% programs. There's USDA loans if you're in a rural area. There's all different kinds of programs. If you're a medical provider or a first responder, there's programs for those type of people. Have we looked at all those? If I'm coming at you from an ability, I'm trying to help you, not question you, it comes across better, right? And I can still get the same information. If I ask you, Travis, is someone taking care of your financial needs? Is someone really helping you? I work with people that I know will give you the best service possible because they want my future business. They'll treat you like royalty. Do you have someone that's doing that? No, I don't. I asked them if they're pre-approved. I just didn't ask them if they're pre-approved. They might tell me no. My mom's lender, my cousin's lender, US Bank, we're tight, man. I got it. I already went to them 2 weeks ago. We're pre-approved. We're ready to go. We're FHA. We're conventional. We know what we have to put down, right? So I didn't ask them if they're pre-approved. I didn't ask them if they had money. I didn't ask them their credit score. I didn't ask them how long they've been at their job. I let the lender do all that. I just asked them if they're being taken care of, they're being serviced. And in a roundabout way, I asked them if they're pre-approved. Yeah, sure.
What if you have somebody that says they're a cash buyer? How do you do that? Do you just get a statement from the bank?
Yeah, or you can get a statement from their bank account, just to make sure we're not giving numbers, bank account numbers.
Right, yeah, someone looking at a 295 and a 350. Oh, I'm full cash buyer. How do I prove that?
Yeah, it's usually a proof of funds is what it's called, and it's from the lender. Either they have a line of credit that they can pull out of, like I do, or they have, cash in the bank, or something they can leverage against a retirement account that's, they can pull money out of. Something like that, but there should be some kind of proof that the money's available.
Okay.
A lot of times a banker will just say, hey, Jody Moore's got the funds available to perform on this purchase agreement at $295,000.
Okay.
Just that alone is proof of funds. Okay?
Yeah, because that is how people are questioning.
Yeah.
That,
Now, some people will actually say a cash purchase and they have a commercial line, but it's not a cash line. Like they still have to do an appraisal. So be careful of that. That's not a cash purchase. There's still contingencies of getting a loan in there. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to add anything on that as far as pre-approvals or things? Ginny, anything you say to somebody that might?
I usually ask if they say they're pre-approved. I'm like, oh, great. Do you mind if I ask who your lender is? And if they can't produce a name or they stumble, they don't know. And then you can just politely say, hey, it's been a while since you've been pre-approved. I got somebody great. But I usually say, oh, great. Who's your lender? What bank are you going through? What kind of product do you have?
And a lot of times I know.
Sometimes, or a lot of times, maybe I know them.
Yeah, the lender or whatever.
Or like, great, who's your lender? Do you know if it's conventional or FHA and if their eyes glaze over, if they have no idea what you're talking about, that's a pretty good indicator they haven't talked to anybody.
Yeah, and that's another good point that you could get to the point of this is that you have to know whether you're looking at FHA, conventional, VA buyer, or whatever, right? You have to know for some of you brand new agents in here, FHA or VA loan, the home has to pass certain insurance risk, right? They take a picture of the panel, they take a picture of the attic, the roof has to have 3 years life or longer. They're looking for sloping, they're looking for insurance risk, they're looking for handrails, right? Looking for peeling paint's a big one on the outside. If the home's built before 1978 with lead, there's peeling paint on the outside. FHA appraiser's gonna come in and want all that scraped and painted. So if you did ask the buyer and wanted to inquire about some of their financing, let them know that, hey, there's different types of financing and there's different types of homes that meet the requirements of financing. So you're inquiring more of just wanting to know what type of homes we should be looking at, FHA eligible, VA eligible, those type of things. As well as when you write the offer, you have to put mortgage contingency in the offer. first, we'll go over that too as far as what contingencies are in the offer. But that mortgage contingency is the first one, so you have to write it FHA. Is it 3.5% down? What interest rate, versus conventional? So it is important to know.
Are there better pre-approvals than like others? Like some coming from like a national company, Wells Fargo, US Bank, or like working at a call center versus going to like a credit union?
We're gonna, actually, one part of this isn't here is like pre-approval versus commitment versus clear to close. We're gonna go over that.
Okay.
To answer your question just directly, yes. I mean, anytime I get one from Rocket Mortgage or I get one from, what's that?
Quicken Loans.
Quicken Loans, or some Yahoo from Missouri. It could be good, for all I know, but I feel a lot more comfortable when it's Green State or Fidelity or Viridian or, someone here locally that I know.
Because there's like, what, a risk of falling apart prior to closing?
Yeah, and I think from an out-of-state lender standpoint, there's two things that you have to understand. Number one, Iowa's an abstract state, as we all know. However, the other states in the union are not. So they sometimes don't know what a damn abstract is. Also, other states allow title insurance, which is an insurance policy they can place on the title that shows that it's clear and it's going to stay clear. If something was to show up on title down the road, there's an insurance policy that can kick in and clear title. Iowa, they do not sell title insurance. They offer title guarantee. It's part of the abstract being updated, a title opinion being rendered, and then the attorney guaranteeing title on the impact. Now, what you might not understand, because I just learned this myself last year, is the title guarantee is only good for issues that come up on the title opinion. So if something shows up after the title opinion, that title guarantee doesn't cover that.
How do you find the prospective buyers that say they're pre-approved, they give you a pre-qualification?
Yeah,
Trying to explain to them that you're not.
yeah. Actually, there's a difference. I want you guys to know the difference with that. Pre-qualified, pre-approved is basically the same thing in the way that they've taken an application, they've pulled their credit score. That's it. There's no verification of anything else. So pre-approved, pre-qualification is a nice first step, but until things start verifying like your income with W-2s and employment status, where your funds are coming from, it really doesn't mean much, okay? Because they haven't verified all those things. Pre-approved is generally good enough to get an offer going. Obviously, you're going to want to stay and make sure you meet your dates, full commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, and have dates in there for that. And we're going to go over that, okay? Because I see that being an issue with purchase agreements, okay? Again, financing. The first time I meet somebody, if it's cold, I don't need them to be financed. I'm just trying to build rapport with them. I'm trying to build a relationship. I'm trying to build trust and confidence with the buyers. Once I have that, they're mine. Then I can ask them anything I want because they trust me, they know I'm coming. I'm trying to help. I have a process, I'm experienced, and I'm trying to get them through the process, okay? So the first time I meet them, I'm not worried about a whole lot of financing. I'm not worried about these things. I'm worried about building rapport. But my next time going out with them, 5, 7, 8 homes, I need to know their financing. And I need to know that they're financed with somebody reputable. I don't want to spend my time three hours with somebody and then find out it was a complete waste of time. I'd rather be doing anything else, okay? And believe me, you guys are going to understand, especially new agents, all you have is time and knowledge. That's what you're worth. Can't give out either frivolously, okay? All right, now we have a client that's looked at 15, 20 homes, 30 homes, and then nothing's good enough. Hasn't made any realistic offers, if any. We all have these clients. I know I have. Jenny?
Yes.
Jenny leaves them up the side of the road after the 9th house they haven't bought something. Just won't waste her time. Hands over to Megan.
Then they buy right away.
Yeah, then they buy right.
Slam dunk.
Yeah. My luck is I'll leave town, I'll hand it to one like Jefferson, and he'll slam out a $300,000 deal, like first house he shows him, splitting it now, for shows him 40 houses. So, okay, another reason to do the one through 10, because you will find that some of them rate 7, 7.5. If you've shown that many homes, it might be wise to keep a catalog of homes they've seen, what they've rated, go back through the ones they've rated the highest and see if there's things that you can change at maintenance. Can you add a garage? Did you finish a basement? Could there be updates to it? You know, negotiated purchase agreement. Maybe, hey, I don't want to do the roof and the furnace. I just don't want a house I have to do. Maybe now, with that being 8, if the roof was new, the furnace was new. Oh, it'd be 8.5. Okay, let's explore that a little bit. That's the easy fix. But generally, what's happening when you've shown clients this many houses, really a couple things are going on here. And I had luck rather than just keep showing them houses, hoping that we're going to find this uniform. I kind of sit them down in a face-to-face, or that last house we're with, and I have, some might consider an uncomfortable conversation. I don't. I become very comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. But first of all, I go through the houses again, and I try to look through common denominators of houses we've seen. And what you'll see in these price ranges is either, hey, we've got a bigger house here that needs a lot of work cosmetically, maybe even mechanically, or we're seeing smaller houses that size-wise don't work for you, but they're all in great shape, but size doesn't work. And we're having the battle between the actual two here. So what I ask them is basically, I have 3 things for them that will work. I ask them, which one do you want to do? First of all, is there other areas we should be looking in that might offer more value? If I'm an AV, would Altoona work? Because to me, there's better houses for the same price in Altoona than AV. Your dollar stretches a little farther, is what I'm trying to say. Right? Does that make sense? So, you know, so that's my first conversation. Or, hey, I'm looking on the south side, could I go to the east side and pick up more of what you're looking for? You know, but I won't live on the south side. I won't live on the east side. I can't live in Altoona. I got to be in Aiken. Okay? That's the first thing. Is there any other areas we could look at that would offer more value? The second thing is, can we go up in price? Well, I don't know. We probably could. I just don't want my payment to get too far again. So I tell them, for you new agents, I just kind of use this as a rule of thumb. Every $1,000 you go up or down in price roughly affects your principal and interest by $4 a month. A lot of times, like $4 a month. You tell me if I went up $10,000 in price and only paying $40 more a month? Like, yes. Like, well, shit, let's go up $20,000 then. We could do an extra $100 a month. Now, the one caveat I would say here that you go up $20,000 in price, generally the taxes aren't going to be the same either. So there's a little bit of that as far as your payment being taken into consideration, okay? But in that moment, that $10,000, that $40 extra a month might be all they need to bump up to see the next tier of homes that gets them to an 8 rating or higher. Rather than showing them 10 or 15 more, explain to them how that $4 per thousand works. Now, that $4 per thousand is at like a 4.8% interest rate. So they're 2.75, so it's actually less than that right now, right? At a 6% interest rate, it's $6 per thousand. I don't know why it equals out that way, but that's the way it is. So kind of give you guys an idea of that. And then last but not least, hey, we're not looking in Altoona, we're not able to go up in price. Last but not least, we need to lower our expectations. We're going to have to make some concessions. What are some concessions you're willing to make to find, you know, what's the most important things to you? But we have to have a 3-bedroom. We have to have a basement. Okay, well, maybe we can't have the garage. You know what I mean? Have these conversations with them. What is the most important things to you? You must have, and what are some things we're willing to wipe out if you found the right house in your price range? What are we willing to do with that? Because the 20 and 25 homes here, you see the denominator. We're not seeing that. You know, if we keep searching for it over and over, the prices are just going up. So those are the 3 conversations I have with them, and generally they're either going to make some concessions or they're going to go up in price. This just happened the other day to me. People were pre-approved up to 180. Showed them houses 180, went out one day, showed them 7 houses, they didn't like anything. Told them about going up in price. I said, I see you're not really liking anything's really low. I said, you know, if we went up 20 grand, just that 200 mark, I think we would see the next tier of houses. And sure enough, I said the $4, they called their lender, it was even less than that. Went to one house, they bought it for 198. I told them, I said, maybe you should see other homes in this price range, because you just jumped up. Like, of course you're gonna like this home more than these others. You sure you don't wanna see other homes? And no, this is it. So, you know, I'm always trying to advise people right, even if it means talking myself out of the sale, okay? Anybody wanna add anything to this? Any conversations you've had with those agents or those buyers that are stalling? Tina, you've been around a minute. What do you do?
Honestly, everything you said is what I do, and it does work.
It does work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is like when you're explaining to them their price, the $4 a thousand, just that if interest rates go up, you kind of, pump that up.
Right.
But yeah, and that does work, because sometimes they just have no clue that if they go up 10 grand, it's only gonna be, a few bucks.
Right.
And yeah, usually it's the first or second house they see at that point.
Side note on this also works in multiple offer situations. So what should I offer? What should I offer? You should offer as much as you can, so if you find out that someone else offered $500, you're okay with it. Well, what do you mean? Well, the listing's at 140. If you want to pay 145, would you be mad if someone paid 145.5 for it? Yeah, you'd be pissed. Then pay 146. That's what that means. Well, then you go and say, you realize that every $1,000 you do or don't spend is only $4 a month. Oh shit, give me 146 then, I want this house. Okay? So that works as well as when you're in multiple offer situations, explaining the $4 a month to get them up in price. And when you have multiple offers, they'll lose one. And then that next house, they're coming in strong. I mean, you got a buyer on fire at that point, So.
They're tired of looking at that point. They want-
Yeah, and
they
the
want their house.
emotional toll of losing something that you really want, and you realize. I remember in 2013 when the market really started to go the other way. I mean, it literally flipped from like a seller's market to a buyer's market to a seller's market overnight. It seemed that way. And I tell people, like, listen, in order to get this, you're gonna have to pay $5,000 more than they're asking. Like, what are you talking about? It just came on the market. I'm like, there were 3 people here before you got here because I was here early, and now there's 3 people waiting. They would lose it. They would lose that house, and they knew the next house they were gonna come, because they didn't believe you. Like, who believes you? What do you mean I have to pay more than they're asking? That you're a salesperson, you're a shyster, then they realize you're telling the truth because they lost something. Like, holy moly, okay.
And literally getting the offer in immediately makes a difference too.
Yes.
How soon you can get it in, I mean, even an hour difference makes a difference.
Well, and
Sometimes.
we've done a class and we'll do another one. Hopefully some of you new people will show up on how to make your offer stronger. Other than just price, what are some other things you can do to influence an offer and make it strong, okay? And one of the things Tina's talking about is time is of the essence. It's actually in your purchase agreement. Like, signed, sealed, delivered is a real thing, If you know that, someone's countered something and your people have accepted it, that counter needs to be signed, sealed, delivered. It cannot wait. And in the mobile app era we're in, it shouldn't have to. Now, I say this, but I don't like to miss my son's baseball games. I'm certainly not missing soccer. I'm not doing any of that. I have my phone. I can change it and send it and get it out. Because I have lost homes. I'm sure Jenny has, Tina has. You've been around long enough by not being signed, sealed, and delivered. Another offer comes in. Hey, we're withdrawing our counter from your buyer. There's multiple offers. Come at us highest and best. Well, what do you mean? We just had a verbal agreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can wipe your
Question
cookie with
about that,
that.
how do you feel about so let's say we have an offer and, it's signed, pre-approved, everyth's in, seller disclosure, and the seller, and then now you go back and you tell them highest and best, and the agent texts you back, well, we're gonna it's a text, we're gonna increase it by 1,000. It's a verbal offer, I get it, but how do you handle that? If they're like, we can't get to it, we're gonna increase it by 1,000 times of the essence. What do you do in that situation? It's like,
Well, all you can do really is inform and advise
Yeah.
your seller. We can't make decisions on their behalf. All we can do is give them their options, give them advice on those options, and let them make the decision. So in that situation, I'm going to explain signed, sealed, delivered to my client. I'm going to explain to them what that means. And here we have a verbal offer, which happens a ton, by the way, when we're countering, right? Everything is written at first. And then there's a verbal parlay that goes back and forth. And once we've agreed on all terms, then we put it in final form for signatures. I just think your seller needs to know that, hey, we got this verbally, we anticipate this, but we are going to allow showings and continue offers until it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Do not take your home off the market. Do not decline showings until it is signed, sealed, and delivered. Because it will happen where you think you have something and then a buyer says, you know what, they've changed their mind. Well, I just denied 5 showings on this thing. Well, you shouldn't. You're an idiot. You know, I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Until it's signed off on, and even in the same situation Jenny gave me, you know, $1,000, we verbally accepted it, and all of a sudden another offer comes in. First of all, by law, you have to present that offer. Even if it is signed, sealed, and delivered by Jenny, I still have to present that offer. Okay, if an offer is written, you have to present it to your seller, regardless of what status it is in. All right? Your seller can accept that offer as a backup, so that's a point to be noted. But 2, another offer comes in, I'm telling these people, like, I know we had a verbal offer, but another offer has come in. As much as I love Jenny, her and I are close, if I have a listing agreement and she has a buyer and that scenario happens, I represent my seller. I don't represent Jenny and her buyer. So I always have to do what's best for the seller, and sometimes that means going to Jenny and saying, man, you're going to kill me.
I think that's an important thing, because I think this was on the Central Iowa thread the other day, that some buyers were really mad at the listing agent, that they thought they had an agreement. Our job is not to be your friend. Our job is to represent our client. And if another offer comes in, I'm sorry, you don't have it signed, sealed, delivered. You guys have to her to get that in, and we represent the seller. And other agents, and I saw the thread, I'm sure you all saw it, where they were busting on that listing agent. It's like, you know what, our seller is the one that makes that ultimate decision, and Matt just said, I don't care how good friends we are, I'm screwed in that situation.
And as a professional, you understand that you're going to be on both sides of that. There's no need to be upset as a buyer's agent. There's no need to feel bad as a listing agent. This is how it goes down. Explain, signed, sealed, delivered to your buyer at the time of the purchase agreement. Explain to them until everything is signed off on and given to a copy of their agents or you that we do not have a legally enforceable offer. So if we're countering back and forth when we come to an agreement, I'm going to get that back to you for your signature and get it over to the listing agent as soon as possible. Time is of the essence. Because if any other offer comes in between that time, they have the right to review it and accept it. Okay? Once it's signed, sealed, delivered, at that point, all you can do is review backup offers. All right? Situation. What you'll notice is you meet clients, you'll meet people, and you'll find out that their rental situation is a little farther out than what might seem like they want to jump on something right now. So let's use the same timeline we're in right now. We're sitting in the early August, and someone's lease isn't up until the end of November. All right? Some of you experienced agents in here will know this very, but when you close on your mortgage, your payment doesn't start until the following month. So if you close in the middle of October, your first payment isn't until December 1st. If I'm looking at I meet somebody right now, I'm explaining this to them because they don't know that. And this moves their timeline up. So how long does it take to close? Well, anywhere from 30 to 60 days. So that now in their mind they're thinking, so we can start looking at a home. We find something by the end of August. It isn't outrageous to have a 45 to 50-day closing. Now we're in the middle of October, first payment December 1st. When do you want to start looking at houses? I just moved their whole timeline up in their head. They thought they weren't going to start until late October. They don't know it takes 30, 45 days to close. They don't know that. Now, the caveat here is, just so you know, if we close October 15th and the first payment is December 1st, the lender does collect the interest in that 45 days at the closing table. So if you're asking for closing costs, you may ask for just a smidge more, to offset those. Okay, they do collect the interest in the closing costs, but the first payment isn't due to December 1st. The only reason I have this in this lesson is because I've used that at least a couple dozen times, where it made someone say, okay, we need to start looking right now, versus pushing it off 3 to 4 weeks, and then you lose touch with them, or they get in contact with somebody else, and you lose a sale. Okay, even if their lease isn't up until December 1st or January 1st, still with that timeline, hey, let's get you pre-approved now, let's start looking at about three or 4 weeks. It still moved it up in their timeline, okay? So does anybody have any questions on that, or does anybody understand what I'm saying? If you close at the end of the month, let's say it's the 30th, your first payment is November 1st. It's just 30 days. If you close towards the middle, they actually prolong it to the next month. They collect those 45 days. Does that make sense? Okay. Also, a couple other things. First of all, if they're in a rental agreement, Hubble owns a crap ton of rental ground. They actually have a buyout clause in their contract generally. Okay. So I structured this last year. They had a place downtown. They were 6 months left. We bumped up the price $5,000, and the builder actually paid the $5,000 buyout. And that was a little. We'd have to go through how that happens, on the level to make sure everybody knows what's going on. It has to be very transparent. Okay, but just there's ways. If you're creative, there's ways to get people, because interest rates are low right now, so it's very easy to convince somebody, hey, we need to get these low rates. Let's get creative. Okay. I would also advise that tenant to call the management company. Rentals, the need for rentals is very high. So a lot of times they have people on a waiting list. They say, hey, we'll let you have this lease with 60 days. We got people behind you that are willing to move in. Forfeit your deposit or something easy like that, okay? So it's worth exploring, all right? Also kind of a little sales thing on the same timeline, like, hey, we're going to close October 15th. Your first payment isn't until December 1st. Wouldn't it be nice, since your lease isn't up until November 1st or the end of November, wouldn't it be nice for you to move slow? Would that make it easier to do some of the remodeling you want to do, like the painting, knowing, you still pay to your rental and you're not making these double payments? Another thing you can kind of use, like, oh yeah, that would be nice. Close October 15th, we don't have first payment until December 1st. My lease isn't over till the end of November. That gives me time to get in there and paint and put in new flooring and do some things I want to do without being into the unit. So having that kind of, explaining that to them might be just enough to get them going as well. All right, moving on. The time to talk to your clients about sell by owners is not when they call you wanting to see sell by owner. Time to talk to your buyer about sell by owners is usually the first meeting, the first group of homes. If whether it's 1 or 2 homes that you met them at because it's a cold lead that you're trying to turn into a warm lead, or whether it's someone that referred to you that you're actually working with, the time to talk about sell by owners is probably at the end of the first meeting before you set up your second meeting. Me, I tell them, hey, listen, if you want to look at the sell by owner, generally they're willing to pay my commission to represent you. The only thing is you have to give me the chance to contact them on our behalf. Okay? If you see it for sell by owner that you really want to look at, just email me the address or text me the address, and I'll try to include it on our next tour of homes. All right? And that is the truth. For sell by owners, generally when you try to call them, they are willing to pay the buyer's agent. And I've had a little bit of a thing that I do with sell by owners that seems to work pretty well. I call sell by owner. I'll just talk and say, this is Mauro with Remax. I have a buyer that I would really like to include your home on our next group tour of homes. I really think that they would like it. Are you willing to work with the buyer's agent at whatever percent? I could possibly I'd be willing to show your home Tuesday afternoon and possibly sell it that afternoon. I kind of put that in their ear like, oh my God, this guy's company is going to sell my house. I have no idea. But by saying that, it usually I think that gives them a little like, okay, let's get them in. And then also, if they say, well, we haven't been willing to sell, with a realtor yet, I think. Go ahead. What's that?
It's coming in right now.
Yeah.
Just a heads up.
Okay.
We're going over it. Yeah.
So we can move this thing down.
You keep going. If you
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they've had sirens for 4 times.
Are you scared about it?
No, we are the worst place we could be. So,
It's important enough.
now, if you have to, a lot of times this is, so on the sell process, sell, like, not only you might sell your home, but, for $370, if you want to pay it all, we'll take your out, we'll take your information, we'll take this whole thing from A to Z. But what does that mean? That's where I'll take your out, show me your title, thing, through inspection, through appraisal, show my, you can sell, make it. And I start pulling all these things that I'm paying, you know they have to do. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, this sounds confusing. I said, listen, this is a term I use all the time. This is what we do every day, all day. All day, every day. I said, let's take this off your plate for you. Let us make sure we get you through here without any hiccups. And that generally is enough. I'm not just selling that, I'm selling their home. I'm selling that what they're paying for will also process it. Okay? And it's going to lead to a very smooth experience.
I've never worked with this or anything like that, but is sending over an offer the same process as it would be with working with a?
It would be, but there's a non-representative commission fee that you'd want to send over first.
Okay.
That says basically the seller understands they're not being represented in a fiduciary allegation by a brokerage. However, they're paying the brokerage X amount of fee at closing.
Okay.
Okay, that needs to be signed first. All right, and you can help them with their paperwork. If you do decide to process it, they're willing to pay the service center $370. Get their mortgage information. Get the seller's disclosure letter-based payment. We need those things by law anyway. So you can help them through all that paperwork. Build value with the sell by owner. Okay. We do have flat fee brokerages in Iowa, like Next Generation is one of them, right? They flat fee. They do not cooperate with other brokerages on the buying side. They're not offering a cooperating split. And I want you guys to pay attention to this because this is going to keep you out of lawsuits, and more, just as important, keep us out of lawsuits. Because this has happened. You cannot ever put your commission on a purchase agreement. That is illegal. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? I cannot present an offer to Next Generation agent saying, here's my offer, and in the offer, your seller's paying me 3%. Okay? That is illegal, and Next Generation will call the commission because they've actually advised you to do that during the phone conversation so they can turn you into the commission. They're doing that, they're trying to prey on you to do that, and it's expensive. All right? So don't call the broker there looking for advice on how to do it. He's purposely steering you in a way that's getting you into trouble. I don't know why he gets off on that when he does. What you can do, you have to understand something. The commission is an agreement between the listing broker and the seller. The fact that you're getting one from Iowa Realty or another RE/MAX is strictly because that listing broker decided to cooperate with our brokerage, not because the seller has. Okay? So when you go at them with a purchase agreement asking me, you're in violation of licensed law and representation. The only person who can pay you is your buyer, is your client. Now, how to do this legally is write your offer, talk to your lender first. Some lenders will allow up to 6% concessions from the seller, some financing, back to the buyer. Some will only allow 3. So talk to your lender first. Ask the seller for closing costs, origination, prepaid, broker services, right? So I'm going to present an offer. Let's play, Tina's going to play the broker for Next Generation because I can't think of a flat fee brokerage. I know.
Yes, I am a juror.
Yeah. I'm going to present her an offer made out to her seller. I may inflate the price a little bit, but I'm going to ask for $5,000 back to closing costs. That's going to include prepaids, origination, discount points, and broker services, right? That's that offer between the seller and the buyer. Meanwhile, I get an agreement with my buyer that they're willing to pay my brokerage X amount of percent for my services. So you'll see the credit come from the seller or the buyer, but then you'll see the commission being paid from the buyer to the brokerage. That is how it has to go down. Okay?
So you're putting it in the closing costs?
I'm asking the seller, and I may have to inflate price to get that amount of money back that I need. Maybe the buyer's kicking in 1% present them themselves. I mean, you can get creative, but it cannot come in the purchase agreement trying to manipulate a listing contract that's agreed to. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? If you don't remember that, call me when it comes time and we'll walk you through it. We've had 2 agents that I know have fined. Okay?
Hey, quick question. We were kind of talking about this earlier in our office. Are you allowed to solicit the next gen?
No.
But you can physicals?
Yes.
Okay.
Because those are not under contract.
Okay, so that just because they have a contract, but not
Yeah,
necessarily.
because they are, yeah.
Okay.
Because those are not licensed realtors.
Yeah.
Part of the board. Next generation is. Okay. Now, inevitably, I have this in here, I was a little worried, I was a little hesitant to put this next one in here, like this client who plays the what if game, but I thought it was worth noting, because eventually you will have somebody who wants to what if a transaction to death. Like, what if, I kind of real joking here, what if the blizzard in New Orleans, what's that gonna do to the price of soybeans in Iowa, how's that gonna affect my transaction? Like, you literally, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if the buyer's financing falls through? What if they find things on the inspection we're not willing to do? What if it doesn't appraise? What if we have termites? What if we have title? You mean like, what if everything? And it will drive you crazy. These are the type of people who will call you at all hours of the day. And listen, what you have to understand, first, you have to understand this as an agent first, and then you can convey this to your clients, your sellers or buyers, is we operate on an extreme amount of good faith in this industry. We have contracts, we have things in place, but we operate on a lot of good faith. We operate that everybody has been explained their rules, and that everybody, including the agents and the people and the people involved, the lender, everybody, are all pulling the same direction, are all trying to get to the same finish line. Everybody has their rules and there's timelines set in place for us to fulfill those obligations, okay? I just let them know, so listen, we can what if this transaction to death. We can come up with every different scenario that could or may go wrong, but we just have to go on good faith that everybody's doing what they can to get to the same point, and that's a successful closing. I will inform and guide you every way. I will help mitigate some of those what ifs before they come due, but we will cross every problem we have together individually, okay? I try to let them know this is what goes down, this is what we'll be looking at, and I'll always give you your options. And I think that's what we fail to do sometimes as agents. We want to inject our emotion into the transaction. Maybe another agent's treating you badly, maybe they're not being nice, playing fair, and you start to transfer those emotions of rage or unfair play to your client, which only inflames the situation even more. Or worse, we're in a transaction together already, and now we're igniting the flames of emotion. It is your job to get rid of the emotion and just present options. Buyer didn't close on time, you have options. We can extend the agreement. We can give them 5 business days to perform, and we're calling this deal null and void. This is my advice. What do you want to do? Right? Not, oh my God, this buyer is, you don't need to get in all that. You don't need to get in all that. Your EQ, your emotional intelligence, will serve you and get you a lot farther in this industry than your IQ. Okay? Your emotional intelligence, being able to process bad information, being able to process things without getting enraged, without getting fired up, will serve you well if you can control your emotions, okay? All right. I also go over the contingencies in the offer. There are subject twos in the offer. Wait, it's getting dark.
It's very dark.
It's right outside.
I mean, I'm not concerned. I love it.
Do you want to go down, Sister Jackson? You guys feel more comfortable?
I mean, it just says thunderstorm, but that's up to everybody.
ACCI has local tornado warning for Des Moines, but
There's a tornado out.
just touched down. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's
I
pause.
guess what would need to happen? This window shatters.
I don't believe it either. I'm like, prove it, but.
Yeah, let's get down.